This is a stretching routine to open up the hips. It'll mobilize the lumbar spine and work into stretching the legs. So get yourself prepared and face down. Tuck your hands either side of your chest. Tuck your toes. Push up to your knees and straighten your legs into high plank. Step your left foot forward to just inside your left hand. Drop your right knee to the mat and untuck your right foot. Hold that stretch, keeping your head up and in line with your spine, and just gently rock your hips from side to side to open them up. Deepening into that stretch through the pelvis, dropping down into the stretch. Breathing throughout. Lifting the hands up over your head, palms together to open up the shoulders, and just dropping again through the pelvis down towards the mat. Breathing throughout. Lowering the hands to the mat. Tucking the back foot, lifting the knee, and stepping the left foot back into high plank, lowering the knees to the mat, and dropping down to your chest. Pushing through, extending the elbows, untucking the feet at the back into cobra pose. Looking up to the ceiling to really extend through the whole spine, remembering that the neck is part of the spine as well. Breathing throughout, dropping into the pose on the exhale. Staying strong and tall through the shoulders. Tucking the feet at the back, lifting into that high plank, pushing through the palms, dropping into the heels into a downward dog. Softening the knees slightly to really drop into the stretch in the back. Breathing throughout, pushing through the palms, dropping into the heels. Walking out into the heels to stretch through the calves and into the hamstrings. Coming back to that high plank. Staying strong through the shoulders, stepping forwards with the left foot just inside the left hand, and staying in that high lunge now. Sweeping the left hand out and up, and looking up to the hand into the spine rotation. Staying tall through the shoulders, pushing through the palm that's rooted into the ground, and breathing throughout. Looking up at the hand to rotate through the full spine. Stepping the left foot back to high plank. Bringing the left knee to just behind the left wrist. Dropping the right leg to the mat, untucking the foot, dropping down into pigeon pose. Pushing through the fingertips to extend the spine as far as possible. Keeping the head up, strong through the shoulders so you're not slumped through the arms. Breathing throughout. Sinking into the stretch with each exhale. Dropping gently down onto the elbows to bring the stretch into the front hip. Keeping the head in line with the spine. Not dropping the head, not extending too far. If you can, just taking it down, chest to the knee to deepen that stretch even further. Only progress the stretches if you feel comfortable to do so. Holding for 3, 4, 5 long deep breaths. Gently back up, first onto the elbows. And then back into that spinal extension, pushing through the fingertips and staying strong and tall through the back, deepening into the stretch through the pelvis. Tucking the back foot and sweeping the left leg back into high plank, and repeating on the opposite side, bringing the right foot to just inside the right wrist, dropping the left knee and untucking the foot, and just rocking the hips from side to side to open up through the hips. Continuing to breathe throughout, not dropping the head down. Lifting the arms up overhead, dropping into that crescent lunge, dropping the pelvis down towards the mat to extend through the spine and open up through the hips. Breathing throughout, long deep breaths in and full breaths out, holding for 3, 4 or 5 breaths. Bringing the arms and hands back down to the mat, stepping the right leg back to high plank, lowering the knees to the mat, untucking the feet, lowering down to the mat. Keeping the feet untucked, you're pressing through the palms, extending the elbows, staying strong and tall through the shoulders into cobra pose. Looking up with the eyes and head. Dropping that pelvis down towards the mat with each exhale. Coming up to high plank and dropping back, pushing through the palms, dropping down into the heels into downward dog. Softening the knees if you need to really stretch through the spine, pushing through the shoulders and the elbows. Breathing again throughout. Walking out through the heels to get into the calves and hamstrings. Continuing to breathe. Dropping forwards into high plank. And sweeping that right foot to just inside the right hand. Staying high in high lunge with the back leg and rotating through, sweeping the hands out to point straight up to the ceiling. Don't over rotate. And turn the head and look at the hand to open up through the whole spine. Breathing with the movement. Slowing it down to maintain balance. Sweeping the right leg back to high plank. Bringing the right knee to just behind the right wrist and the heel just below the left hip. Dropping the left leg down to the mat and untucking the foot. Pushing through the fingertips to extend tall through the spine. Staying tall through the shoulders. Keeping the head up, eyes straight forwards, and breathing into the stretch. Dropping the hips and pelvis down to the mat with each exhale. Continuing to breathe, lowering down to the elbows to bring the stretch into the front hip. Breathing throughout. And keeping the head in line with the spine. And if possible for you, just lowering the chest to the knee and dropping right down into that stretch. Continuing to breathe. Long full breaths in and full breaths out. Gently staging the get up onto the elbows for a couple of breaths. Continuing to deepen into those hips and coming up gently onto the fingertips again to stretch, extend the spine, looking up, breathing throughout, deepening into the stretch with each exhale. Tucking the foot at the back, sweeping the right leg back to that high plank. Lowering down to the knees, lowering yourself gently down to the mat, untucking the feet, and resting here for as long as you feel necessary to relax back into your day. using your hands to bring yourself up gently to your knees and slowly up to standing.